Hi, and welcome to On the Couch Conversations with Brenda Porter, where I sit down with artists and those who work with artists and have a conversation about what they do, how they do it, and how they feel. Please take the time to like us, comment below, and subscribe. Today's guest is Nic Starr. Nic is a performing artist, writer, director, producer who constantly looks to the hills because he knows that's where his help comes from. He's been blessed to have a well-marked following in Atlanta and its surrounding areas. Nic has graced the Atlanta stages with varying ranges of characters from the prolific playwright of August Wilson to Charles Dickens. He is currently in production with the second season of Cherish the Day. Nic's biggest source of pride and joy is his family. They keep him grounded, humble, and inspired. Join me today in welcoming Nic Starr. Welcome, Nic.
Hey, how you doing? I get to sit here and talk to you about my favorite thing, theater. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we started, you were just telling me about going to Milwaukee.
Yes. I have a son who's a theater baby, of course, my son Joshua. Joshua went to Howard. He just graduated last year, matter of fact, from Howard. And he has a lady friend. I might as well call her fiance. They've been dating forever. And he went to see her in a woman show in Milwaukee. And they're having their not film festival, but theater festival. And so he goes to support her. And while supporting her, he recognizes a young lady that she's directing another play down there. And come to find out, this young lady used to direct his fiance. Well, long story short, find out that this was an old friend of my wife, Princess. They went to Spelman together. And we come down, me and Princess go down to surprise my son and show support and see her show. And she run into her girlfriend and they're standing in the middle of the street screaming and yelling and having a fit. Haven't seen each other in 40 years. So it's the theater world is such a small community. And it's just so good to see those moments where we can come together and bring our arts together. She's down there starting a film theater festival, and we're down there supporting her. So now we're trying to find a way. We got to bring this together. This is a small world. We should be all trying to work together.
It's really nice when we can all work together. I mean, I think that was the original idea of the Black Arts Festival. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, when they would have it every other year in North Carolina. And it was great because everybody would come together and they would do, and it was, and even the Atlanta Black Arts Festival, which sort of died down. It all died. Why, Nic? Why?
It's we have such a community here where everybody, and I know Tony personally, a good friend of mine. When the ideal sparked, it's like, oh, Tony, awesome idea. And everybody come together and we're going to make this thing happen. And then it grew rather quickly. And then when we come as a community, we come to see the show in this Atlanta Theater Festival. It wasn't a lot of Atlanta folks there. We had people coming from all over the place, which is really good, bring the community together. But it would have been, I think, a lot of people, and it's pretty much us thinking, well, I don't have a theater company, I don't have this. We're making excuses for what we don't have instead of making it happen. And there's a few of us who, we want to do it. You go out there and do it. That's how I was raised. Don't dream about it. You sit there. If you dream it, then you sleep it. At one point you got to wake up and go do it. You got to go do it. And so it just wasn't enough of us, I believe, coming together here locally to make the thing happen, the way it should. And it's still going on. I understand they're going to be at the Maple House. There's going to be some outdoor theater, pretty much like they're doing in Nashville. Nashville got together and they did Jitney outdoors on the lawn, but it was the Shakespeare Theater that brought that all together. So it's just people, working together, and we don't. For some reason, we don't do that enough here. I don't think. we if we were to get together, I think we would rival Chicago, New York, and so oh Nick, you're dreaming too big. But I really don't think so. I think we got that kind of talent here.
I agree with you. I think we've got that kind of talent, and I think that we've got um, we work well together. I think, but there's something missing that makes.
Yeah. It seemed like if we had a group and see and that get into hierarchies and all this other stuff, but I truly believe if we had a group that collectively got together and said, and we were in touch with each other theaters, and we know I'm one of those. If you know I need something, and I know I need it, for some reason I'm not going to ask you. If you know I need, if I know you need some, Brenda, I'm gonna, yo, Brenda, I heard, boom, what do you need? And I don't know if that's that mentality we have to get out of. But we should be, if we know somebody we need to be together on this anyway. If we had some kind of group together, I believe that there was a group called The Collective. A young brother, DeJuan Paxton, had put together a group called The Collective. And they were all theater groups getting together. And I don't know what happened to it. I would hear from people when they would need something, but they never really came together like they should. And man, I would love to just get rid of that myth about the crabs in the barrel, because, like you said, that's not us. I don't think we compete. I don't think we fight against each other. But we kind of sit back and watch what's going to happen instead of get out there and make things happen.
Mm.
You know, and I think we can make it happen. We just need to get the right people together.
Well, you make things happen. I think about the theater in the square and all the shows that you did while you were there. I mean, you just like one thing, bam, 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 things were happening.
Oh, wow.
Talk to me about your stay there, your work there.
That was really and truly nothing but God. It was a blessing. First of all, I'm in a family where from the boss of the house, which is my little 4'2" wife, Princess, and she'll choke me when she hear that. But so much support. She allows me to do what I want to do, and what I want to do is theater, and she supports that 100%. Then my daughter India, Taylor, Josh, Jay. I mean, we're a family. So a lot of people know, well, ask Nick to do it. If you get Nick to do it, and you have his sons setting up the sets, and you have his wife running the lobby. But we're a theater family, truly. And the young man, Mr. Emil Thomas, he was just one of those kids back in the day when we were doing New African Grove, still with them. That's still my family, still my theater family. But we were doing up 7 guitars. And Emil got into a situation at school, and the teacher said something they probably shouldn't have said to a young man. He was told that he might want to think about something else to do. So his father came down for the weekend and to kind of lift his spirits, and took him out to theater. Emil loves theater. So he took him to theater, and he took him to Marietta's Theater Square. And in the front of the theater, they would do one show a year that might feature us, but in the back of the theater, they call it the alley, New African Grove. That was our space. And so at the time, they were going to see whatever Marietta Theater Square had going on. And the young lady at the window told him, the show you want to see is probably in the back. His father looked at him just like that. And Emil, no. And his father, yeah. So he brought him to the back of the theater. And that's where I first met Emil. Emil came in as a young high school kid, and we were doing 7 guitars. And he told me later that was his introduction to August Wilson, and he really enjoyed it. And from that, it stayed with him. And I remember him, he came down the line, head kind of looking down, and I went to shake his hand, and I grabbed him, and okay, and what you gonna be in 5? We had a little conversation and it went on. Then 5 years later, he's graduated from college. He's out of college now. And his father, the theater was dark. The theater went dark. It hadn't been open for 3 years. And his father went in there with a hope and a dream and laid down the money. His son was graduating. He wanted to get his son a theater space. And he put his money down and did that. Yeah. And so that's where it started. I wish I could say, oh, me and the family. No, that was Mr. Raul Thomas and his son, Emil Thomas, went in there on a hope and a dream. And for 2 years, did whatever he wanted to do in the community. You have to live in Cobb to understand Cobb, didn't embrace him. I'm just going to say it the way it is. Didn't give them funds. They wouldn't come to the theater. And he had the mind to close it down. And at the time, myself, me and the wife, we have a youth troupe called Young Voices United, little storefront group that we would put on little theater projects for kids. We would teach theater to children. And Emil remembered that. And the young man was nice enough to come down there and say, yo, Mr. Nic, what you doing? Where's your next show going to be? And he remembers back then that, New African Grove, even though we had more people in the back of the theater than they did in the front, they wouldn't let us perform on the big stage. So he said, you want to perform in my theater? I said, your theater? What you need? You need me to send you some kids? No. I want you to direct something in my theater. Your theater, where's your theater? And he told me Marietta's Theater in the Square. I was like, what? You man, get out of here. And it was, he said, whatever you want to direct, you come down and direct it for us. And we picked Smokey Joe's Cafe, and I was able to bring back my best kids from all the different places I used to teach. And now they're adults, and they said yes. And they jumped on that stage. We did Smokey Joe Cafe, and we sold out for about 3 weekends. And that was how we started there. That was my introduction to his dad. I only knew Emil, but his dad, he was cool enough to let Emil do what he wanted to do. And I think his dad might have remembered that conversation we had back then. So his dad was like, he ran the business part of it, and he let us do what we wanted to do on stage. And that was the beginning of it. And had a great run. He thought I was crazy. We did like maybe 12 shows in a year.
I know. I thought you were crazy too. I'm like, oh my gosh.
But it gave so many people, I was trying to make up for all the times I would drive past that theater and we weren't on that stage. And I wanted to show, we had time. And I didn't just do our shows. I mean, we did a variety of shows. We had white, black, Puerto Rican, we had everybody on that stage. And that's what I think a community theater is. You don't have to be, it's not a white, black thing. It's an entertainment thing, and we believed in that, and we put up those shows. And Pro Don Dimoff was another artistic director there. Between him, I called in friends like Miss McIntyre, Mitra. I mean, we called in people. Mia, she came and directed something. So we would call in friends who we knew what they were doing and knew how to direct. And Mr. Thomas trusted me with that. And we kept those shows going, and we kept people entertained, and we had a lot of fun, and did some good theater. Stuff that people still talk about today, still talking about it. So we had a lot of fun.
I think I would have had a heart attack trying to do 12 shows.
But that was, during that time, I had my youth troupe. We were there as well. So pretty much I was able to, once again, the support of my family, I was able to dedicate all my time to that, where I could be there and make sure things were going the way they should. And we had a mission. We really wanted to have a theater home for people of color, to have all this talent here, and not a place that we can say, okay, this is our house. This is what we're doing. And then to be able to put out stuff that's going on in the community. We put out stuff about you whenever you were doing something. We get up and people go, well, why would you advertise? Yeah, we advertise them because we're all the same family. Michael, Mario Good had a theater right down the road. We would send people over there. They come see our show. Well, you sitting there seeing our show. Okay, so what you doing next weekend? You need to be going to see this show here. You need to be going to see, and we were kind of the place. We were. I was trying to make us like a hub. Whatever True Colors was doing, Impact, whatever any theater was doing that had anybody on stage that looked anything like us, we wanted to make sure everybody knew about it. It's still going on. we're still trying to do whatever we can to keep it. And if something happens where they don't get to keep the theater, I'm just hoping that it shows the people that come in next that, yeah, we like entertainment. We'll come see good entertainment. We will spend our money to see the shows. So whatever happens next, I think the Thomas family, they did what they started out to do.
And you were there how long? 2 years?
I was there 3 years and done more shows in those 3 years than I did my whole life. I'm telling you, we were putting them up and you know, but it was a team.
So I understand you have a gambling habit.
Gambling habit. That is so funny. The first time now take it whenever I go on the road and wherever they hire me to do anything. 9 times out of 10, my wife she's going to be there with me. You know, they give me a room, they treat me nice, and she comes with me. And so she knew I did the commercial, you know. So I'm trying to figure out the screaming and yelling I hear in the house. I'm in bed one morning and I hear her screaming and yelling. I'm thinking somebody broke in the house, and the commercial is on TV. And so she's running around having a fit. I'll go to the closet to get what I need. And so I missed the commercial because I didn't know that's what's going on. But it's been funny. People have been calling her, calling me. I just seen, was that Nic? Yeah. It never gets old. I get to play every once in a while, and when I do, it's fun. It's fun. I think I enjoy it more for Princess, who's been supporting me all this time, and so she said, "Okay, it's finally paying off. You're finally doing something, you know." So yeah, that's fun. It's a lot of fun.
So just to make it clear for our audience out there, he does not really have a gambling habit. He's just doing a wonderful commercial, a casino commercial.
Right.
With his face all up in there. It's so nice. It's so nice
fun
to see people that you know and love.
You know, it's for me, it's I used to teach, and I taught theater for 15, 16 years in the school system. And the film, you know, okay, I love theater. I love theater. It was always, you know, I heard somebody say, well, those who can't do it, teach it. If you can't do it, then you teach it. And so I think that was what kind of pushed me out there. You know, it's like, you know, I always wanted, and even when I was teaching, we would do theater pieces, and I would always have a class. I would still audition and get out there and do it so that my class can come see, yeah, Mr. Starr does that. Yeah, okay, so I can do it. And now the TV stuff, I get old students all the time on Facebook. They saw their teacher, Mr. Starr. Mr. Starr is doing this. Did you see Mr. Starr? Mr. Starr cursed. Did you hear him cursing it? Yeah. Some things I want them to see me do, and something like maybe okay. And then I have my boys. I have sons 22 and 21, and they watch. You know, they watch you like a hawk. So you got to pay attention to what you're doing. Got to pay attention to it. Yeah.
So how has the pandemic affected all of the, because you have a household that's artistic, yes, right? So it's affected the arts in a horrible way. Yes, how's it affected you and your household?
Well, right at the beginning of the pandemic, my wife and I, all the kids, we had, Josh was the last one out of the house. I have a son who's in the military, and you know, India, she went and graduated at Columbia State, and Josh is on his way to Howard. And well, he was on his way to Howard, and me and the wife were finally going to be empty nesters. So we're looking forward to going over here and being empty nesters. And then the pandemic happened, and I found out, you know, my wife was kind of cool. You know, she was always cool, but I never had to spend no time with her because we was always working. And she was always my stage manager, or she was putting this together. By the time we get home, we were tired, go to bed, get up, and we at it again. Well, that year that we were locked down, I'm like, whoa, just me and her all the time? Man, that was dope. I mean, I found out, you know, yeah, mama was right. I did pretty good. Yeah.
Well, not everybody could say that because there are lots of people who
Yeah, I heard.
had
Yeah,
issues.
yeah, I hear that. But we found out, 'cause there was no theater, there was no rehearsals to run off to. And then when film picked back up, and I was getting these calls for self taping, it was just me and her. She'd get up on her stepping stool and get behind that camera, and she would tape me, and and we got in this great run where I was booking, and so all through the pandemic, half the pandemic, I was working. Got some shows that came out or coming out now. They're about to be released now. That was happening during that time. My daughter India, she landed a deal with Marvel, and she was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So she was in Prague, and she was traveling all over the world. Then they shut it down. She came home, and about the middle of the pandemic, it opened up and she was gone again. So, it kind of shut everything down with Young Voices United. My son Josh, because Howard had shut down, he was giving classes. He's kept the classes going over Zoom. Him and Karis, that's our dance instructor. They were giving the classes. The kids would tune in on Saturday morning on Zoom, and they were still giving classes. And I'm like, y'all able to, like, no, Dad, we got to keep it going, because when this goes away, we want to, and then when it went away, though we weren't in the theater space no more, Mr. Michael Mario Good opened up the Good Acting Studio, and he was kind enough to let the kids come in on Saturday mornings and continue classes. So it was kind of, it stopped some stuff. We lost the space and that kind of thing. But the kids, and my son, I would say for my son and Karis, they continued this and didn't want no pay. They just wanted to teach the kids. They didn't want the kids to stop having that one thing where that Saturday where they get together. And so it made me kind of sit back and look, okay, man, that's my son. He did, because you get before the pandemic, it was all about, okay, making that next dollar, how we're gonna get, you got to eat. And for him to just donate his time and just give up his time like that, it was pretty cool. And then when you do stuff like that, God just turns around and he blesses you, because they did some kind of small business loans they were doing. Uh-huh. They gave us a small business loan, and we're able to still pay Karis and Josh, even though we didn't have money coming in. So God be working things out if you step out there and do what you're supposed to do.
You ain't said nothing but the truth right there.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing. But
now the numbers are ramping up again, and all the theaters are opening, and they've got shows, but it's ramping up again. I don't know.
It's scary. Right now we have a venue here in Marietta, very nice venue, the Sewell Recreation Center, and they're running at Marietta Square. They're trying to bring theater back. I myself was commissioned to do Jitney in the Morton Theater in Athens, and so me and the wife are praying about it now, because that's a big project to go down and do for one weekend. We will want to do it here first, and have a couple weekends of it. And so we're praying about it. We got a cast that's eager and ready to go, but now everything that is ramping up again, as far as the people not wearing masks and people getting sick all over again. And so we're trying to see, are they gonna pull the plug on everything again, or what's gonna happen? But theater's definitely on the way back. A good friend of mine, Calvin Wade, is doing Sunset Baby. Just a lot of stuff that's, smaller projects are coming up. And people are still doing stuff through Zoom and over the internet. They're streaming stuff now. But for me, it's a nice way to keep it going. But I just miss, that's why we went all the way to Milwaukee. I miss sitting in a theater in the dark and going into that other world, and that's what this past weekend did for us. To see it live, we went all the way to Milwaukee because, we wanted to, to actually see some theater, and it was fun. I can't wait for it to come back.
Were there a lot of people there?
Yeah, they had, and there was still space, but for producers, it might not have made a lot of sense because of the spacing. You can't sell the seats to support the project. So we have to figure that out. You don't want to charge your patrons double,
Right.
but you want to keep them safe. So having them in there sitting on top of each other, we just got to find a way, to make that happen. I love what they did in Nashville. They did it outside, and then they had people spread out all over. But once people found out what was going on, that park was full. And they still had some distancing, but you still had pockets of people who were together. And I'm hoping they were friends or family sitting like that together. But it was theater, it was outside, and it just reminded me of it makes me think back to when theater started. It was outside in the open, under the stars. It's I'm hoping and I'm praying that we get back to that. And I understand that the Atlanta Theater Festival, they're going to be doing it at Maple House, out open air. So so that I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. So maybe it'll be the springboard for everybody coming back, because I know people missing it.
Oh, yeah,
I know
definitely.
people missing it. People missing it.
Definitely. I was talking to somebody, they said that during the pandemic, Synchronicity did a show, and Deanna Davis was in it. And she said that people came to the show, they didn't even know what the show was about. They were just like, I just want to be in a theater. I just want to be here.
Yeah, we have that community now, and I'm praying that we don't lose it. I mean, we really got people, happy about getting dressed up and going to the theater, and just seeing life happen on stage in front of them. It's a beautiful thing. I used to love. I mean, I love being on stage. That's favorite thing. Beats film, beats anything else I'll ever do. But my second thing would be just sitting behind the audience and watching them watch what's happening on stage, watching the story is like, and seeing how it affects them and what it does to them, and hearing the conversations as they walk out, how they're talking, and they're still buzzing about what they just saw on stage. Oh, I miss that. And that's something I never thought about before, because I was always on stage, and shaking hands at the end. But to sit back and watch the big picture of how it affects not just individuals, a whole community. I would say Marietta, it really changed a lot when the theater went up and people were coming out and getting dressed up, and you can pull somebody to the side. Now, come on, young man, you got to pull your pants up. You don't wear a t-shirt to the theater.
Did they listen though?
Oh, and then the next time a young man come in, I'm thinking of one particular young man. He came in, look, Mr. Starr, went up, bought me a blazer. Got him. It didn't match nothing he had on. And every time he came to the theater, he had that same blazer with some other jeans and a t-shirt underneath. It came with that blazer. So I know it just opens so much conversation, and theater does that. You can end the show and you can have some talk backs and talk to the audience, or just be out in the lobby, which is what me and the wife used to love to do. We'd be out in the lobby. We didn't stay behind the ticket desk. That was Mr. Thomas. And even he would come out and we would mingle and talk to people. And it almost be like going to church. Okay, y'all don't have to go home. Y'all got to get out of here. You got to lock up. But we used to have it was that kind of fun we would have out there. So I missed that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the things that we miss. I miss the rehearsals. I miss going in and being in that room and connecting in that ensemble. You're working on a project for Athens. What else are you working on?
Some film. I got a film project I'm working on right now. One of which I can talk about. They have a project called Cherish the Day. It's a group of love, this mushy stuff that I never watched before the pandemic, and probably would never have auditioned for before the pandemic. But that's one for OWN that'll be coming out in February that I'm working on. I was fortunate enough to book a recurring role in that. And we got some nice surprises coming up real soon that I can't even talk about,
Oh no,
can't,
the film industry drives
yeah,
me crazy with that. It's like,
yeah,
oh no, but you
yeah,
can't talk about it.
but yeah,
Like,
but you gotta watch me quick because you'll see me. I'll wave at you, then I'm gone. But
"Ah."
I'm having fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So
Where are you from?
Chicago, by way of Mississippi. I got to tell people that because you hear me. If I talk to you too long, you hear that Mississippi. I'm Mississippi through and through. But I grew up. I was born and raised in Chicago. Yeah, and left for the military at 17, and so I guess I spent more time in the military than I did in Chicago. So been all over the world. Been all. As a matter of fact, that's where I discovered theater. I didn't get to do it in high school. I didn't, they had me do back when I was in high school. They had Welcome Back, Carter, and there was this kid that black kid, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs or somebody, and I don't even know what his catch line was. But English class, the teacher had me do one line, and it made me cool. I'm like, oh, okay. That was the first and last taste of it I got in high school. But when I got into the military, it was a way out of being shy, I guess, because I was uh, I'll talk to anybody, but I'm not going to start a conversation. I'm 62. I've never asked a woman to dance. I've never asked a woman out. If I hadn't gotten married, God knows I'll be I'll be sitting in a room by myself. If my wife hadn't brought me some Kool-Aid, I'll still be by myself. So I was that shy kid, but my escape was I can go on stage, and since you didn't know me, I go on stage and I'd be anybody I want to be, and you never know. So theater was like an escape for me. And that's how I did it in the military. Get on stage and turn into whoever I wanted. And I made myself a promise I was never going to do anything that I didn't want to do anymore. And God has blessed me with that because exactly, I do exactly what I'm led to do.
Being an ex-service person, how do you feel about the Afghanistan?
There's two sides to that because we lost so many lives trying to do something and to not finish what you set out to do. Um, it's a hard pill to swallow because those lives are lost, those lives are gone. But the other side of that, if you're not going to put the monies and you're not going to, train the people and do what you need to do, me going there and get rid of it, they say, you killing it. No, but you got to do something. And if you're not going to do what you got to do, meaning go in there and take them out, take them all out. And if you're not going to do that, then no need to keep sending our kids over there dying. There's a treadmill that you just stay on constantly. We're constantly dying. We're constantly losing soldiers. But bureaucrats are not letting us go in and do what we need to do to end all of that. There's things, and there's things you can do to make that end. But we're not. We're civilized, or we have to play civilized, so we can't go in there and do what we need to do. So there's two sides to the coin. I just feel sorry. I just feel for those who went over there and gave their lives. And they talk about you doing it for your country. After you've done it, it's a hard pill to swallow. Like me and my wife, I enjoy going to the baseball games, and then they have this time where they make you all stand up, all the veterans stand up, and being of color to stand up for a flag, a song that didn't hold all your promises to me and those who look like me. It's a hard pill to swallow. But once again, Princess, she said, but if you don't stand up, they only see them stand up. And then our little kids don't see people like you who fought as well. And so that makes me stand up, but there's still a debt. There's still a debt owed, that systematic racism that people say is not happening. That you imagine, no, that's not imagined. And you go over there and fight, you come back, and as soon as you get back, that same person you went over there and fought for is still calling you nigger. Is still calling you out of your name, and it makes you feel some kind of way. when they rushed the Capitol on the 6th. I'm looking at that, and I know if that was a bunch of brothers, I know what would have happened, and people still try to deny that. So, you fought for a country, and you sacrificed for a country that still look at you like you're nothing. There's sometimes where you feel foolish, but there's times where you feel glad that you did, and I'm proud. I'm proud. I did what I needed to do, but it kind of sometimes you get angry. That the debt still haven't been paid, and nobody's trying to pay it. People just trying to wash over it like it didn't happen. Oh, get over that. That happened. No, that's still happening. So this whole Black Lives Matter thing where people, Princess watched me very close when that kind of stuff started happening. And so my way to fight it now is in the arts. It all goes back to the arts because people will know what we tell them. If we don't write those stories, if we don't tell our stories, then people will never know. So we still got to, tell those stories. We got to be true to them. It's not always a happy ending, and we're still looking for ours.
Will this country let us have it?
See, that's the thing. Well, they say it's changing, and a scab is not a change. We got scabs, and those scabs rip off, and we're right back to where we started. They won't let it heal. It's about healing. Until we start talking about it and being real about it, it don't heal. And there's nothing like that. I always take it right back to the arts. That's where we begin to talk about it. Me and Prodom, he's a country that I was in to fight. And they brought him in, and we look at each other, and like now we're brothers, but we would never become brothers if we don't get to talk. And I don't get to understand him, he don't get to understand me. And it's an easier pill to swallow when you share it with the arts. You listen to my music, you're doing my dance, you're doing everything that's me. Why can't you accept me? What you want all my, this is my culture. You want it, but you don't accept me. Something's wrong there. It's some more conversation need to be had, I think. When we start talking about it and being real about it, don't sugarcoat nothing. Kids know me. I used to teach in Walton County, in Monroe, Georgia. And I walked in that school, and all the white kids sat on one side of the cafeteria, and the black kids sat on the other. And I'm walking in with a black principal, Mr. Seabrook Royal. Never forget him. He looked at me, saw how I was looking, and he showed me the theater first. Beautiful theater, state-of-the-art theater. But he was trying to entice me to come there because it was an hour and a half drive from my home. So driving from Marietta all the way to Monroe, Georgia, an hour and a half going, an hour and a half coming back. So I'm looking, showing beautiful theater, showing my beautiful classroom. He was the first black principal there. And then he showed me the cafeteria. And before he said anything, I was like, whoa, how did this happen? What's going on here? He said, that's why we here. And that's what he was trying to change. And got there, devil got in it. I think I taught the first half a year there. They didn't accept my certification. So they said, well, if you stay here, you have to do it as a substitute. A substitute? $75? No. But my wife reminded me, she said, you always said that you love your job and you would do it free. And essentially I was doing, that was more in gas money. And we did it. We stuck through that. I stayed there, and we had once again, did like 9 shows, had a great time. And the last thing that when I left, Seabrook, he brought me back in there and he showed me that cafeteria again, and he said, see, that's why theater is important. The kids sitting together, they come to my class, and I showed them where you're the same. I showed them where, and they got to see a brother walk different than they see him walk on TV. You know, Seabrook was always in his suit. And I'm like, dude, I ain't wearing no. He said, yeah, you don't have to wear no suit, but remember, they're watching you. You represent it. And that meant a lot. You know, I learned a lot, you know, just, you know, teaching theater. So, I mean, I owe a great debt to theater. You know, it made me a lot about who I am and how I think and what I do. You know, it all goes back to theater. It all goes back to theater. We were able to change that whole dialect just by getting in the classroom and kids sitting separate and okay, we're gonna do this play. We're gonna do that play. Well, let's talk about it. I think we ended that year with West Side Story. And so I got to do a whole semester on gangs and why color. And we got to sit in the classroom. Sometimes, you know, my kids, you talk to any of my students, they'll tell you they never opened the book. You know, it was all life lessons. You know, it's happening in the street. So I know with theater, we can make some changes, but people got to be open to it. They got to be ready to talk.
Yeah, theater really, I believe in the power that it has to change individuals and to change the world.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So I appreciate you taking the time today to sit down with me on the couch. If you were watching today, I encourage you to come back next time, where we'll have another fascinating conversation. And meanwhile, please like us, comment below, or subscribe, and keep the conversations going.
Let's have a heart-to-heart. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a heart-to-heart. Let's have a consultation. Let's have a heart-to-heart. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a heart-to-heart. Let's have a consultation. On the couch.